Very good morning to all of you friends. I hope you guys are doing good. In the last session, we started with joint and byproduct and we finished that chapter. I hope you guys are thorough with the questions of joint and byproduct. So now, today, we are starting with altogether a new chapter, that is service costing. Now, in the last few sessions, we discussed process costing, contract costing, job and batch costing. So, this service costing is altogether a new chapter wherein it is used by the companies who are into service industry. Just like contract costing was a method of costing used by the companies who are into construction business. Further, when talking about process costing, when a product passes through various processes, we were using process costing. Now, what if in case those who are into providing services, those who are into service industry, so to calculate the cost of the service and to fix up the selling price, they use service costing. Very good morning, guys. Madhuri, I'll just check and then I'll discuss that questions. Very good, Vikas Bansal. So, service costing, it's a method of costing used by the companies who are into service sector. One second. So, service costing, it's a method of costing used by the companies who are into service sectors. That is hotel industry, hospital industry, salon industry. Apart from this, we can say other service provider, that is electricity companies. Further, we can say insurance companies, toll tax, the companies who are actually collecting toll tax from us, these companies, education institutions, airline industries. So all these are service industries, and to calculate the cost, they prepare operating cost sheet, or we can say service cost sheet. So I repeat again, this service costing is a method of costing used by the companies who are into service sector. Very good morning, guys. Very good morning. Well said. Banking companies are also service sector companies. So let's start the chapter now, guys. So now let's take a situation, how it works. Now, when talking about service industry, transport industry is also service industry, wherein let's take an example, wherein I am running a bus from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. I am running bus service from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, and let's say the total cost of a trip is 50,000 rupees. The total cost of the trip is 50,000 rupees, and the number of passengers traveling are, let's say, total 50 passengers. Further, when talking about the distance from Mumbai to Ahmedabad is, let's say, approx 500 kilometers. I repeat again, this service costing is a method of costing used by the companies who are into service industry. This method of costing is used to calculate the cost, and thereby we can fix up the selling price. So here in this, let's take an example wherein I'm running a bus from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. The total cost is, let's say, 50,000 rupees for a trip. I'm incurring a cost of rupees 50,000 for a trip. It covers the driver cost, diesel cost, toll, etc. Now, on an average, 50 passengers do travel in my bus, and the total distance is 500 kilometers. Now, if the question is asking us that what is the cost per passenger, we can simply calculate that कि भाई total trip का cost कितना आया 50,000. How many passengers are traveling? 50. So we can easily say that what is the cost per passenger? Very simple. Rupees 1,000 per passenger. If that bus company want to calculate the cost per kilometer, I repeat again, if in case the bus company want to calculate the cost per kilometer, they can easily calculate the cost per kilometer as 50,000 rupees divided by 500 kilometers. So we can say rupees 100 per kilometer. Now, I repeat again, I am running a bus from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. The total distance is 500 kilometers. The total cost for a trip is 50,000 rupees. And the number of passenger traveling are 50. Total number of passenger traveling are on an average 50. Now, if I want to calculate the cost per passenger, very simple. 50,000 rupees divided by the number of passengers that are traveling are 50. So we can easily say my cost per passenger is how much? 1,000 rupees per passenger. When talking about if a particular customer has approached me that I want to hire the complete bus, please quote me the price for per kilometer. They can easily calculate as total 50,000 is the cost for a trip divided by the distance traveled is 500 kilometers. So I can easily quote the price as rupees 100 per kilometer. Now, let's take a different situation wherein the bus takes stop at Surat and Vadodara. The distance from Mumbai to Surat is, let's say, 200 kilometers. Surat to Vadodara, let's say it is again 150 kilometers. And let's say Vadodara to Ahmedabad is, let's say 50 kilometers. I repeat again, let's say I operate a bus service from Mumbai to Ahmedabad and I do take these halts, that is first halt is at Surat, second halt is at Vadodara, and the third halt is directly at Ahmedabad. Now in this case I want to quote fare per passenger. The question is how to calculate the fare per passenger. I repeat again, very important guys, the first halt of the bus is Mumbai to Surat. The first halt of the bus is Mumbai to Surat, then Surat to Vadodara. And then Vadodara to Ahmedabad. So this is how we travel 500 kilometers for every trip. Now the question is, I want to quote the fare from Mumbai to Vadodara, Mumbai to Surat and Mumbai to Ahmedabad. Now the question is how to calculate. Can I calculate the cost per kilometer? Practically impossible. Further, can I calculate the cost per passenger? Practically impossible. So in this case, we do calculate the composite unit. We use the composite unit to calculate the cost per passenger per kilometer. I repeat again, guys, I have to quote the fare per passenger depending upon the kilometers traveled. So herein, in this case, we will calculate the cost per passenger per kilometer, then only we'll be able to quote the fare. So let's say the total cost is rupees 50,000. On an average, the number of passenger traveling are 50 and the total distance traveled is 500 kilometers. So I can say the passenger kilometer is how much? 50 into 500, that is 25,000 passenger kilometer. So in this case, my cost per passenger kilometer will be how much? 50,000 divided by 25,000, that is rupees 2. It means the cost per passenger per kilometer is rupees 2. I repeat again, guys, 50,000 is the total cost of my trip. I have to charge the fare from a passenger. Now, since the bus is having halts at Surat, Vadodara and Ahmedabad, the bus is not traveling to Ahmedabad. I have to quote the fare to the passenger. So the question is how to. So very simple, guys. Total, in this we will use the composite unit wherein we will consider both the factors, that is the passengers traveled and the distance covered. So in this case, total amount of cost of the trip is 50,000 divided by my passenger kilometer, that is the passenger as well as the kilometer, both will be considered. So here in this case, total 50 passengers are traveling and the total distance is, let's say, 500 kilometers. So that my cost per passenger is rupees 2 per kilometer. So the passenger who are traveling from Mumbai to Surat, their fare will be how much? 200 kilometer, and I have the cost per passenger per kilometer. So very simple, 200 into 2, that is 400. So the fare from Mumbai to Surat will be how much? 400. Let's say if I have to calculate the fare from Mumbai to Vadodara, the total distance traveled is how much? 400 kilometers. The cost per passenger per kilometer is how much? Rupees 2. So we can easily say that from Mumbai to Vadodara, the distance traveled is 400 kilometers. The cost per passenger per kilometer is rupees 2. So we can say fare will be 800. From Mumbai to Ahmedabad, the distance traveled is overall 500 and the cost per passenger kilometer is rupees 2. So I can easily calculate the fare. So I repeat again, guys, when talking about the practical approach, this approach is the best approach and the practical approach what the companies are doing. If you guys have any doubts in this concept, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. There are two approaches wherein we have to calculate where the bus is traveling directly from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. There are no halts. We can easily quote the fare. That is 50,000 divided by 50 passengers traveling. We can easily say that, boss, the fare per passenger will be rupees 1,000. But what if in case the kilometers also come into picture wherein that bus take halt at Mumbai, Vadodara, Navsari or Ahmedabad, wherever it is. So in that case, we have to quote the fare. So the question is how to quote the fare. Because yes, the number of passengers is also important and the distance traveled is also important. So in that case, we will quote the fare on the basis of cost per passenger kilometer. So once the cost per passenger kilometer is calculated, we can easily calculate the fare. I hope you guys are done with this part. This approach is more practical and widely used by all the industries. This approach is as compared simple, the simple approach, and it is hardly used, wherein if a person is hiring the entire bus or if there are no halt in between a particular origin and destination, then this approach can be used. But when talking about the widely used concept that when a bus starts from Mumbai and goes to Ahmedabad, there are many halts. So they have to quote the fare per passenger. So in that case, they will use this approach that they will first take the kilometers traveled, on an average the passengers traveled. So the total cost divided by passenger kilometers, they will get the cost per passenger per kilometer. So when talking about Mumbai to Surat, the total distance traveled is 200 kilometers. So in that case, the cost per passenger per kilometer is rupees 2. So we can easily say that we can quote the fare at rupees 400. Mumbai to Vadodara, the distance traveled is 200 plus 200. That is Mumbai to Surat and Surat to Vadodara. So the total distance traveled is how much? 400 kilometers. So 400 kilometers into 2. The cost per passenger per kilometer. Shashwat Singh, when talking about contract costing, that method of costing is used by the companies who are into construction business. Whereas when talking about service costing, this method of costing is used by the companies who are into service sector, that is hospital industries, hotel industries, transportation industries, education institutions. No, dear, this 400 is the fare charge per passenger. I repeat again, the cost per passenger per kilometer traveled we have calculated is 2. So if a particular passenger travel for 800 kilometers, we can say the fare will be 1600. If a particular passenger travel for 300 kilometers, we can say it is 600 rupees. Is my board visible to all? Okay, Rajiv Kumar Das, I have assumed that on an average 50 passengers are traveling, from entire Mumbai to Ahmedabad. No seats are empty. Further, I repeat again, Rajiv Kumar Das, I am assuming that the bus is operating at full capacity. अगर मुंबई से सूरत 50 passengers travel करते हैं, अगर 5 passengers goes down at Surat, then we assume that Surat से वापस 5 passengers चढ़ जाएंगे. So I repeat again, guys, I am assuming that the bus is working at full 100% capacity. Yes, Archie, Microsoft is a service sector company. When talking about the weightage of this chapter, the weightage is 8 to 12 marks. I repeat again, guys, the bus is traveling from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, and there are halts in between wherein Surat and Vadodara are the intermediate stations where they are taking halt. Now the question is how to charge the fare from a passenger. Herein two factors are important. 1 second, guys. Sorry. Herein two factors are important. That is the passenger traveled and the distance covered. In the first example, if we have to quote the fare, we can easily calculate the fare. That is 50,000 divided by 50, that is rupees 1,000 per passenger. Now, this 1,000 fare is from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. Now the question is, if the passenger is traveling from Mumbai to Surat only, can we charge rupees 1,000? No. So, here in this, apart from the passenger travel, the kilometers also comes into the picture. So, we will take both the factors, that is the passenger traveled and the distance covered. So, that's why I have calculated the passenger kilometer. These are what? Passenger kilometer. That is both the factors, that is passenger and kilometer. Earlier there was only one factor, so we divided by passengers. In second case, there was only one factor, that is the distance traveled, so we were calculating the kilometer. I repeat again, this approach is possible when the bus is taking no halts. Directly from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, we can quote the fare. Second case, if I approach the bus that I want to organize my family trip, you guys have to quote me the price per kilometer. They can simply use this approach कि भाई आप पूरी बस बुक कर लीजिए, मैं आपसे 100 rupees per kilometer charge करूंगा. आप 100 किलोमीटर चलिए, 200 किलोमीटर चलिए, whatever it is. But here in this case, in the third case, the bus is taking halts. So in that case, these two approaches are practically impossible. So we will use this approach. Manthanjali. $50 is the number of passengers and 500 is the number of kilometers. So both the factors are considered. In this, we have calculated the cost per passenger per kilometer. So the cost per passenger per kilometer is rupees 2. So if a particular passenger is traveling from Mumbai to Surat, that is 200 kilometers, the total fare will be 400. Any doubts, Manthanjali? Siddhappa Kamble and Rajiv Kumar Das. Further, yes, Vikas Bansal, I am assuming that it is the cost and I have to calculate, I have to quote the cost per kilometer or cost per passenger. Further, Siddhappa Kamble and Rajiv Kumar Das, that I am assuming that the seating capacity is 50 passenger and there is 100% occupancy all the time. Let's say if it is on and average 80% occupancy, instead of 50, we would have taken 80%, that is 40 passengers. So guys, in this case, we use two approach. That is, first approach is we were considering only one factor, either on the basis of per kilometer or on the basis of per passenger. So we call it a single unit. When talking about composite unit, that is the other approach, we consider two factors, that is passenger as well as kilometers. So per passenger kilometer. So in this service costing, two approaches are possible. That is single unit and composite unit. When talking about single unit, it can be cost per passenger, it can be cost per kilometer, it can be cost per mile, it can be cost per ton. When talking about composite unit in transportation industry, it can be cost per passenger kilometer, cost per ton kilometer, cost per ton mile, etc. Similarly, there are many more service industry. Let's say hotel industry. It can be cost per room. If we have to calculate the cost per unit, when talking about single unit, it can be cost per room, cost per day, cost per guest. When talking about composite unit, it can be cost per room per day. So that is cost per room day. I repeat again, cost per room per day. So cost per room day. Cost per guest day. When talking about hospital industry, again it is a service sector. It can be, when talking about the per unit cost, it can be, in case of single unit, it can be cost per bed or cost per patient. I repeat again, the weightage of the chapter is 8 to 12 marks, Mr. Mangesh. So when talking about hospital industry, it can be cost per patient or cost per bed. And alternatively, when composite, talking about composite unit, cost per patient. So these are few examples. When talking about calculating the cost per unit in terms of service, it can be single unit, it can be composite unit. When talking about single unit, only one element is used. And when talking about composite unit, two elements are used to calculate the cost per unit. I have further provided you guys the PPT, wherein I have already mentioned what is covered in single unit and what is covered in composite unit. Sharing this for your reference. So when talking about transportation industry, it can be either cost per ton, cost per passenger, cost per mile, cost per kilometer. When talking about composite unit, it can be cost per passenger kilometer, cost per ton kilometer, cost per ton mile. When talking about hotel and hospital, I've already explained in detail. Further, in insurance industries, there is no composite unit. We have to use the single unit only, whereas cost per policy, cost per claim. In education institution, cost per course, cost per student, and cost per batch. So this is already provided. You can download the PPT. You can download the notes from the portal. When talking about composite unit, two or more than one unit, that is 2 units are covered, so it is composite unit. When talking about if only 1 unit of measurement is concerned, then it is single unit, Mantanjali. There is a query from Rekha sir, why kilometer approach is practically not possible? So the same is there available in my notes, so no need to copy. There is a query from Rekha that in the previous question, why per kilometer is not possible. So let's say my total cost of a trip was 50,000 and the total distance traveled was 500 kilometers. So the cost per kilometer was how much? Rupees 100 per kilometer. Now there is a query from Rekha sir, why per kilometer cannot be used? So let's say Mr. X is traveling from Mumbai to Surat. So the distance is how much? 200 kilometers. Now, if we only have the cost per kilometer, if we multiply by 100, it will be rupees 20,000. So can I quote 20,000 fare to the passenger? Practically impossible. Because this is the 20, when talking about 20,000, it is for the entire bus. So we need the details about the customers or passenger travel. So that's why in this case, we have to take both the passengers and the kilometer Rekha. Yes, Mantanjali. Preeti Panchal, a good question. We will reduce on and average. See, this industry is based on the past data, wherein how much is the percentage occupancy. Further, the cost of, there is a query from Preeti Panchal, sir, what happens if the price is charged different to the passenger? That is a discount for the senior citizens and the child. Now that cost will be borne by the normal passenger. So we do estimate in advance that how much on and average the children will be traveling, how much on and average the senior citizen will be traveling, and how much on and average the adult passengers will be traveling. So on the basis of estimated data, we calculate the number of passengers and accordingly we do charge the fare. So Preeti Panchal, this is estimated well in advance upon depending upon the number of passengers traveling. So when talking about the discount, this discount given to senior citizens and children will be borne by the adult passengers. So guys, service costing, it's a method of costing used by the companies who are into service sector. It is used to calculate the cost per unit. The cost per unit can be calculated in two ways, that is single unit and composite unit. Composite unit approach is more practical rather than single unit. So what all is covered in single unit and composite unit, I have already discussed in detail. Now further, when talking about transportation industry, the composite unit can be calculated in two ways. That is that passenger kilometer, ton mile. This can be calculated in two ways. That is absolute and commercial. I repeat again, guys, in transportation industry, when talking about composite unit, that is that passenger kilometer, ton mile, they can be calculated in two ways. That is why absolute and commercial. When talking about absolute, it uses the weighted average approach. And it uses the simple average approach. What is the difference? I'll be discussing with the help of a question. So let's start with the practical question. Rajiv Kumar Das, in the previous example, when I told you 50 passenger, 50 is the sitting capacity, I have assumed that on an average, there is a full occupancy in the bus. So a very important point, guys, you have to estimate the occupancy well in advance so that you can recover the cost accordingly. let's take an example, the example on the basis of the question asked by Rajiv Kumar Das. Let's say the cost per trip is rupees 50,000. If my on and average occupancy is 50 passengers, I can quote the fare as rupees 1,000 per passenger. Let's say my on and average occupancy is 80% only. Very simple, guys. The total cost will remain same, but my occupancy is only 80%. It means total number of passengers traveling are not 50, but only 40 passengers. So in this case, the cost per passenger will be inflated. That is 50,000 divided by 40. That is, the fare will automatically recovered by the remaining passenger. So accordingly, the fare will be increased by 250. So total the fare will be 1250. So very important, this service industry depends upon the occupancy, whether it is hotel industry, whether it is hospital industry, whether it is transportation industry. If the occupancy reduced, then the cost will be borne by the remaining passengers. No, Arvind. Yes, Pooja, well said, my dear. Very true, Anu Gupta. So guys, when talking about the data I have taken in the question, I have assumed that the bus is running at full 100% capacity. I repeat again, 50 was the capacity of the bus, and I assume that the demand is high and the number of passengers traveling are in full. That is, no seats are empty in the bus. So if the occupancy is only 80%, then the cost will be borne by the remaining passengers, that is the passenger traveling. Further, there was a question asked by Preeti Panchal, that is, what if the discount is given to the senior citizens or the children? Then again, similarly, we will assume we will reduce the percentage number of individuals and the cost will be borne by remaining passengers. Let me take this point also. Let's say the total cost of bus is 50,000. Now, the seating capacity is of 50 passengers. %100% occupancy. However, it is given that on an average, the adult number of passengers traveling are how much? 40. So adult number of passengers traveling are how much? 40. And on an average, in every trip, 10 senior citizens do travel. Now it is given that the senior citizens are provided discount with the 50%. I repeat again, it is given in the question that senior citizens traveling, they will be provided discount at the rate of 50%. Very simple. Let the fare charge from the normal passenger be X. And the fare charge from senior citizen will be how much? 0.5X. So, total number of passengers traveling are 40 and the senior citizen traveling are total number of senior citizen traveling on an average is how much? 10. So, the fare charge will be how much? Into 0.5X. I will be discussing this question in detail also. So, accordingly, the total number of weighted passenger traveling are how much? 40 plus 0.5X, that is 45X. So accordingly, 50,000 divided by 45. So the fare charge from the adult passengers will be how much? 1,111. And since 50% discount is provided to the senior citizen, it will be 555. Ultimately, our entire cost will be recovered. So instead of, even though the passenger traveling are full 50, but we will be dividing it by 45 since the 10 senior citizens are provided discount of 50%. So it means the balance cost will be borne by the remaining passengers. Shashwat Singh, there can be n number of situations. So it's practically impossible to incorporate all these situations in this class. But just check how much revenue we are getting and how much cost we are incurring. Accordingly, we can fix up the fares. So I hope this point is covered in detail. What if the number of passengers are less? What if some discount is given to the senior citizens? Further, there is one question I will be discussing wherein they are providing discounts to the passenger who are traveling lesser number of kilometers. Whatever it is, I will be discussing these questions practically for more understanding. So done, guys. This much is more than sufficient. Archie Gupta, abnormal game. This will go in driver's pocket. So guys, now I'm starting with the practical question, that is example number 1, to discuss in detail what is the difference between absolute and commercial. When talking about transportation industry, the composite unit can be calculated in 2 ways, that is via absolute or via commercial. When talking about absolute, it talks about the weighted average approach, and when talking about commercial, it talks about the simple average approach. So let's start, guys. The similar question is there in the study material. So let's start, guys, with example number 1. That is, a lorry start with a load of 20 metric tons of goods from station A. I am discussing question number 1 of the material what I have provided. A lorry starts with a load of 20 metric tons of goods from station A. It unload 8 metric ton in station B and balance goods in station C. On the return trip, it reaches station A with a full load of 16 metric ton loaded at city C. So they are not taking any halt at the intermediate station in the return journey. The distance between A to B, B to C and C to A is given. Compute absolute metric ton kilometer and commercial metric ton kilometer. Yes, Anugupta, I have just taken the illustration. Yes, profit margin will be included in all the fares and all the amount to be charged from the passengers. So herein in this question, there are 3 stations involved, that is A to B, B to C and C to A. So very important, guys, maximum of the students face this problem, that the question is how to calculate ton kilometer or passenger kilometer if there are many many stoppage in between. So guys, the best approach is try to make the diagram of what the question is asking. So here in this case, the lorry starts from A, goes to B, thereafter C, and then back to A. So this is the way the bus travels. That is, it goes to B, thereafter from B to C, and from C to A. It is given in the question that a lorry starts with a load of 20 metric tons from station A. So it starts from 20 metric tons from station A. Further, it is given in the question that it unloads 8 metric tons. मतलब स्टेशन बी पे 8 metric tons unload कर देता है. So it means lorry में अब कितना बचा? Remaining 12 metric tons. So 12 metric tons are transported from B to C. Further, it is given on return trip, it reaches directly to station A. बीच में B पे वो रोकता ही नहीं है. It goes directly to station A with a full load of 16 metric tons. I repeat again, when such type of questions are given, better present it in a diagrammatic way. That is, from A to B, total number of metric tons traveled is how much? 20 metric tons. From B to C, the total number of metric tons traveled is how much? 12 metric tons, since 8 were unloaded at station B, that is the intermediate station. When talking about return journey, C to A directly 16 metric tons. Further, the distance is given, that is A to B is 80 kilometers, B to C is 120 kilometers, and C to A, since they are coming directly, it is 160 kilometers. If you guys have any doubts in this diagram, yes, you have to use the diagram in exams. You can present the solution in this way. So A to B 20 metric tons, B to C 12 metric tons, C to A 16 metric tons. Further, the distance is also mentioned. That is, distance from A to B is 80 kilometers, B to C is 120 kilometers, and C to A is 160 kilometers. Now we have to calculate the ton kilometer. Very simple. The weighted approach, average approach, that is A to B. How many metric tons traveled? 20 metric tons. For how many kilometers? 80. B to C. 12 metric tons for how many kilometers? 120. From C to A, how many metric tons traveled? 16 metric tons into 160 kilometers. So the total ton kilometers will be how much? 20 into 80, 12 into 120, 16 into 4160 ton kilometer. $5,600 metric ton kilometer when talking about the weighted average approach. And when talking about the simple average approach, very simple. Average metric tons into distance traveled. Average metric tons into distance traveled. Yes, Mantanjali, you can present the solution in diagrammatic way in exams also, my dear. So in this case, when talking about average metric tons, it is 20 from A to B, B to C it is 12, and C to A it is 16. Divided by 3 into the total distance traveled, that is 80 plus 120 plus 60, so that is 360. So this will be 5760 1 kilometer. Very good, Prabhas. Very good, Riya. Very good, Madhuri. Very good, Hitesh. So I repeat again, guys, when talking about the absolute ton kilometer, they use the weighted average concept, wherein A to B, B to C, and C to A multiplied by the distance multiplied by the kilometers traveled. So this is the best approach. When talking about commercial, they use the simple average approach, wherein on an average the metric tons that are transported into the total distance traveled. So these are the two ways to calculate composite unit in case of transportation industry. When talking about which approach to use in all the question, very important, guys, absolute. This commercial approach is to be used only when specifically mentioned in question. This approach, that is commercial approach, is to be used only when specifically asked in the question. But when talking about if the question is silent, you have to always use this approach, that is absolute approach. Now, if you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me, waiting for your queries. Since there are three factors, that is 20, 12 and 16, so I have calculated the simple average, so that's why divided by 3. Rajiv Kumar Das, Mantanjali, any doubts, my dear? You can present the solution in diagrammatic way in exams. Rajiv Kumar Das, any doubts? Riya Jaiswal, Madhuri, Archie, Shashwat, Preeti, Arvind, Pooja, Rekha, any doubts? I request you guys to please copy this solution. Further, if you guys have any doubts, you can post your query. Waiting for your queries, guys. There are two approaches to calculate the 10 kilometer, that is either absolute or commercial. So these are the two different approaches, so the answer will be different because this is using the weighted average method and this is using the simple average method, Muhammad Farhad. When talking about it directly reaches station C, it means it does not take any halt at station B, Madhuri. As I said, Sumit Kumar, if the question is silent, always use absolute method. But this method, as I have written also, used only when specifically mentioned in the question. Rajiv Kumar Das, it is advisable to always use this method only. I repeat again, guys, I'm repeating again and again. If the question is silent, this method is to be used only. Only this method is to be used. But if the examiner is specifically asking you to use this method, then only you have to use this method. Else, this is the only method you should understand and you should know. That's what it is. Mangesh, if the question is silent, then too also this method is to be used. Anyone else? Abnormal loss, Adarsh. I'll be covering this point also. Let's take the question number 2 of the material what I have provided. I repeat again, I request you to please download the material. So example number 2, that is calculate total passenger kilometer. In this question, in the question number 1, we calculated ton kilometer. In this question, we have to calculate passenger kilometer. So very simple, guys, let's start. Calculate the total passenger kilometer from the following information. That is total number of buses are 6. The number of days operating in a month is 25 days. It means the bus are working only for 25 days in a month. Trip made by bus per day is 8. The distance covered one-sided is 20 kilometers. The capacity of the bus is 40 passengers. And the normal occupancy is 80% of the total capacity. Again, Mr. Rashmin Kumar Majitya, if it is clearly given in the question to apply this simple average approach, then only you have to apply. Else, always the absolute method only. That is the weighted average method. So I'm discussing example number 2, wherein I have to calculate the passenger kilometer from the following information. Total number of buses are 6. The total days of working is 25 days in a month. The trip made by bus, each bus per day is how much? 8. The distance traveled is 20 kilometers one way. The capacity of the bus is 40 passengers. Normally 80% is the capacity utilization. So let's start, guys. Now the question is asking us to calculate the passenger kilometer. I will be calculating the kilometers also and passenger kilometers also for your reference. So now when talking about the total number of kilometers traveled, again the same diagrammatic approach. That is, the bus is going for how many kilometers? 20 kilometers. In the return journey also 20 kilometers. So one round trip is of how many kilometers? 40 kilometers. Now the total number of trips made per day is how much? 8 trips. So we will get the total per day data of a particular bus into 25 days in a month, and the total number of buses are 6, so 6 buses. So the total distance traveled is 40, total number of trip made are 80 into 25 days in a month into 6 buses, so 48,000 kilometers. Monthly. When talking about passenger kilometers, very simple, guys. "20 kilometers they are traveling with the capacity of the bus is 40 passengers into the capacity of the bus is 40 passengers. However, the normal occupancy is only 80%. It means what? Total 32 passengers are traveling for 20 kilometers. And in the return journey for 20 kilometers, again, 32 passengers are traveling. Into total number of trips made in a day, 8 trips. Into 25 days in a month, the bus is operating. And the total number of buses are 6. So accordingly, 20 into 32. (15,36,000) passenger kilometers. I repeat again, when talking about the onwards journey, total 20 kilometers we are traveling with how many passengers? 32 passengers. So how much is the passenger kilometers in one trip? 640. Again, return 640, so 640 plus 640, that is, in a trip, there are total 1280 passenger kilometers. Into total number of trip made in a day is 8. It means per day, 10,240 passenger kilometers into 25 days in a month into 6 months, 6 buses. So accordingly, we will get the 15,36,000 passenger kilometer. This is not given in the question, but since for your reference, I have calculated this. If you guys have any doubts in this question, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries. It is there in the PPT, my dear Pooja. Waiting for your queries on this questions, on this question. Very good, Madhuri. Very good, Ria. If you guys have any doubt or query in this question, you guys can ask me. I'm discussing example number 2 of the notes what I have provided. Herein the examiner is asked, the question is asking us to calculate the passenger kilometer. So this is the way you should calculate the passenger kilometer. Waiting for your queries, guys. When talking about 32, the total number of the seating capacity of the bus is how much? The seating capacity is 40 passengers. And the average occupancy, it is given in the question, that is 80%. So the seating capacity is 40 passengers, and on an average the 20% seats are occupied, only 80% seats are full. So it means on an average 32 passengers are traveling on both the ways. Madhuri Nikhare, very important. This is onwards journey and this is return journey. If the bus is traveling, it means it is going and coming back. The company itself, Archie Gupta. Yes, Rashmin Kumar. If it is not given, then we have to assume that 30 days in a month. Shweta, hopefully your doubt is resolved. Prabhas, and by default it is given in the question that the bus is making total 8 trips. When talking about 8 trips, it means by default the round trips. Yes, Mantanjali. Anyone else having any doubts? I request you guys to please copy the solution. Madhuri Nikhare, I repeat again, it is for onwards journey and this is for return journey. Any doubts, Siddhappa, Madhuri, Archie, Shweta, any doubts? See, Prabhas, hint is given in the question that it is 20 kilometers one way and the bus is making total 8 trips. So we will assume it is total 8 round trips, Prabhas. Very good, Riya. Anyone else? Any doubts, guys? Madhuri, hopefully your doubt is resolved. Very good, Ritika. Very good, Khushya Sahu. Now, guys, there is a question for you. Since no one is asking any doubts, let me ask you my question. Let's see who is able to solve the question. Now, distance traveled one way, 25 kilometers, seating capacity 50 passengers, occupancy in onwards journey it is 80% and in return journey it is 60%. Number of trips, total 4 number of trips. Further, the bus is working for 24 days in a month. Number of buses, 2. You are required to calculate the kilometers and passenger kilometer. I repeat again, the bus is traveling one way 25 kilometers. The seating capacity of the bus is 50 passenger. When talking about the occupancy, in the onwards journey it is 80% and in the return journey it is 60%. The number of trips per day is 4. The bus is working for 24 days in a month and the total number of buses are 2. So you are required to calculate the kilometer and the passenger kilometer. So let's see who answers first. I repeat again, I just want to know the distance traveled, that is the kilometers traveled and the passenger kilometer. So waiting for your answers, guys, quick. I have got the answers from Mantanjali, Hitesh Jain, Mr. K, Shashwat Singh. So many answers, variety of answers. Simran Sharma, Shivani, I have to calculate the correct answer. Okay, when talking about kilometers, Manthanjali, your answer is correct. Rashmin Kumar, your answer is correct. Very good. Mr. K, your answer is incorrect. That is Prakash, I think. Himanshu Gupta, very good. As far as kilometers is concerned, your answer is correct. Shivani, correct answer. Simran Sharma, correct answer. Swati, correct answer. I'm just talking about the kilometers only, guys. Rashmin Kumar, as far as passenger kilometer is concerned, your answer is incorrect. Madhuri, when talking about kilometers, your answer is incorrect. Tanya, correct answer. I'm talking only about the kilometers. Mohammad Farad, kilometers is correct. Rekha, kilometers are correct. Shweta Jain, let me calculate the passenger kilometer also. So Vikas Bansal, both your answers are correct. Yes, Swati, it is 24 days in a month. Rekha, both the answers are correct. Tanya, both the answers are correct. Madhuri, both the answers are incorrect. Swati, both the answers are correct. Shashwat Singh, your answer is incorrect. Both the answers are incorrect, Shashwat. Himanshu Gupta, both the answers are correct. Hitesh Jain, answer is correct. Madhuri, I'm surprised you have not been able to answer. Still waiting for your correct answer. Arvind AS, correct answer, my dear. Vaishali Agarwal, welcome. Very good morning. Your answer is incorrect, Vaishali. Mayank Agarwal, incorrect answer, my dear. Kaveri, correct answer. Aniket, correct answer. Pooja, incorrect answer. Atulya, incorrect answer. Shivani, very good, correct answer. Shashwat Singh, again incorrect answer, my dear. Ankit Gupta, incorrect answer, my dear. Your kilometers are correct. Passenger kilometer are incorrect. Rohit Joshi, very good, correct answer. Shivani, correct answer. Poonam Sharma, correct answer. Rajiv Kumar Das, correct. No worries, Swati. Yes, now your answer is correct. Riya Jaiswal, incorrect answer. I'm only just mentioning the incorrect answer. So Mangesh, correct answer. Alok Chaudhary, a zero is missing in your answer. Prabhas, correct answer. Where is Riya Jaiswal? Incorrect answer, my dear. Pooja PS, incorrect answer. Sakshi, again your passenger kilometer are incorrect. Menka Kumari, incorrect answer, my dear. Sakshi, again incorrect answer. Your passenger kilometer are incorrect. Yes, Mr. K, your answer is correct now. But Jyoti Vader, passenger kilometers are incorrect. Sorry, passenger kilometer is correct. Kilometer is incorrect. Most of the students were able to answer. So let me calculate the kilometer, guys. Very simple. The diagrammatic approach, 25 kilometers one way. Return journey also for 25 kilometers. Into how many trips in a day? 4 trips in a day. Into 25 days in a month. Sorry, 24 days in a month. Into the total number of buses are 2. So the final answer will be 50 into 4 into 24 into 2. That is 9,600 kilometers. Further, when talking about passenger kilometer, (25 kilometers into). When talking about the occupancy in the onward journey, it is 80%. So 50 into 80%, that is 40 passengers. And in return journey, again 25 kilometers, but 50 into 60%, that is only 30 passengers. Into 4 trips in a day, into 24 days in a month, into 2 buses. So 25 into 40 plus 25 into 30 into 4 into 24 into 2. So that is 3,36,000. Please check your answer, Sakshi. Yes, Mantanjali, diagrams make the question very easy. Riya Jaiswal, no worries, my dear. I hope you are thorough with the concepts. Sakshi, please check the solution. This is the correct solution. No worries, Riya. Very good, Mohammed. Very good, Pooja. It was for Pooja PS, my dear. Yes, Jayanti. Shashwat Singh, let me check your answer once again, my dear. I think your answer was initially incorrect. See, Shashwat, you have written 3,45,600 passenger kilometer. That's why I said it is incorrect. I repeat, Shashwat, you have written 3,45,600. So that's why I said it is incorrect, my dear. And I'm here to motivate you guys. I just want that you guys should be thorough with the concept and you should not be left out with any queries by the end. I mean, this chapter gets over. That's why I'm just telling you the correct thing, that what is correct and what is incorrect, my dear. Okay, Pooja. No worries, Madhuri. Rajiv Kumar Das, it is irrelevant question. I can't answer this question in live session. So I'm really sorry. Yes, 9,600 is correct. I specifically mentioned that your kilometers are correct, but yes, your passenger kilometer is incorrect, Shashwat. No worries. I'm giving you one more question, guys. A transport company is transporting coal from mine to godown in a 6-ton lorry. A transport company is transporting coal from a mine to godown in a 6-ton lorry. Distance traveled one way is 30 kilometers. The truck return, the lorry return, the lorry carry full load in onward journey. However, it remain empty in return journey. Trips per day five, number of days in a month 20. Number of lorry 10. Waiting for your answers, guys. Transport company is transporting coal from mine to godown in a 6-ton lorry. The distance traveled one way is 30 kilometers, and the lorry carry full load in the onward journey. However, it remain empty in the return journey. The number of trips per day, let's take it for 3 only. The number of days in a month it is functioning is 20 days, and the total number of lorry the company have is 10. So waiting for your answers, the kilometer and the ton kilometer. Again, there are 3 trips only per day. I have got answers from Arvind AS, Hitesh Jain, Mr. K. I just want kilometers and ton kilometers. Okay, Arvind, incorrect answer. Hitesh Jain, incorrect answer. Mr. K, your second answer is correct. Waiting for your answers. Kilometer and ton kilometer, guys, I want. Very good, Vaishali. Correct answer. Hitesh Jain, I have to check the ton kilometer calculation. Simran Sharma, correct answer. Archie Gupta, can you please help me out that your answer is for kilometer or ton kilometer? Okay, so Ankit Gupta, both your answers are correct. Hitesh Jain, both of your answers are correct. Rekha, both the answers are correct. Prabhas, good, both the answers are correct. Poonam Sharma, both the answers are correct. Mohammad Farad, very good, your answers are correct. Madhuri Nikhare, your 10 kilometer is incorrect, my dear. Vikas Bansal, incorrect answer as far as 10 kilometer is concerned. Rafika Mehman, incorrect answer. 10 kilometer calculation is incorrect. Jayanti, your kilometers are incorrect. Aniket, your both the answers are correct. Shashwat, waiting for your answer, my dear. Yes, Shashwat, your calculation of 10 kilometer is incorrect, my dear. Shashwat Singh, again I repeat, follow the diagrammatic approach. Kaveri, correct answer. Mantanjali, incorrect answer. Swati, incorrect answer. Jitendra, incorrect answer. Kilometers are correct. 10 kilometer is incorrect. Parampreet Kaur, again kilometers are kilometer is correct. 10 kilometer is incorrect. Riya Jaiswal, incorrect answer. Preeti Panchal, kilometer is correct. Ashwin Sethi, incorrect answer. Mohammad Farad, incorrect answer now. The kilometers are incorrect. Payal, correct answer. Miss Rachel, correct answer. Jyoti, correct answer. Fareen Fatima, 10 kilometers are incorrect. Isha Jaiswal, 10 kilometers incorrect. Mantanjali, both the answers are incorrect. I'm surprised today you are sleeping or what? Have a cup of coffee and answer. Waiting for your answer, Mantanjali. I do expect a correct answer from your end. मेनका कुमारी भाई बहुत दोनों आंसर सुपर इनकरेक्ट है. Just check the zeros and just recheck your calculation, Menka. Srinjani Sinha, very good correct answer. Shivani Dogra, correct answer. Payal, 10 kilometer is incorrect. Rashmin Kumar, incorrect answer. Shivani, again the 10 kilometer are incorrect. Most of the students, you are not being able to calculate the 10 kilometer. Mantanjali, again incorrect answer. Yashashri, kilometer is correct, 10 kilometer is incorrect. Madhuri, incorrect answer again. Archie Gupta, incorrect answer. Miss Jane Amrutlal, Komal Jain, I think. Again, 10 kilometers are incorrect. Himanshu Gupta, correct answer now. I'm really sorry I skipped your answer. Ritika Verma, 10 kilometer calculation is incorrect. Ashwini Shetty, again, both the answers are incorrect. Mr. K, again, 10 kilometer is incorrect. Shashwat, I'm waiting for your answer. Rajiv Kumar Das, waiting for your answer. Tanya Goyal, both the answers are incorrect. Rafika Mehman, your answer is correct now for 10 kilometer. Shivani, 10 kilometer is incorrect. Mantanjali, again incorrect answer. Jayanti, your kilometers are correct. Simran Sharma, 10 kilometer incorrect. That is what I expected, that most of the students were not being able to calculate the 10 kilometer. However, the calculation of most of the students of kilometer is correct. Simran Sharma, incorrect answer for 10 kilometer. Preeti Panchal, incorrect answer for 10 kilometer. Rohit Joshi, both the answers are correct. Yogita, correct answer. Mangeshwaran, 10 kilometer calculation is incorrect. Shivani, I need to check. Can you please, I have already mentioned your name, Shivani. Pooja PS, your kilometers are correct. Hitesh Jain, correct answer. Mantanjali, now your kilometers are correct. Pooja, it's not KBC that this answer or that answer. Yes, out of both these answer, one answer is correct. Now you have to find out. Rajiv Kumar Das, surprised But as expected, most of the students were not being able to calculate 10 kilometer. Your answer is incorrect, Rajiv Kumar Das, for 10 kilometer calculation. Again, Mr. K, that is Prakash, your answer is incorrect. Swati, kilometer is correct. Tanya Goyal, both the answers are incorrect. Manthanjali, your kilometer is correct. Miss Fareen Fatima, very good. Your 10 kilometer is correct. Adarsh Mishra, you need to revise your concepts again. Your 10 kilometer is incorrect. Shivam saying incorrect answer. I've got answer. Manoj Kumar Kale, just check the 0 in the 10 kilometer. Rest your answer is correct. Pooja PS, yes, your kilometers are correct. I'll be discussing this question. Again, most of the students are not being able to calculate the 10 kilometer. Mohammad Farad, both your answers are correct. Simran Sharma, again incorrect answer. No worries, Manthanjali, please resolve the question. Sakshi, Miss Sakshi Balkwade, your both the answers are incorrect. Now I've got the correct answer from Manthanjali. Finally, your 10 kilometers are correct. Gosim, 10 kilometers correct. Yes, Shweta, when talking about composite unit, we can calculate it in two ways, that is absolute and commercial. So if the question is silent, you have to use always absolute method only. Archie Gupta, now correct answer. Mangeshwaran, 10 kilometer is incorrect. Kanani, Rutvik Kanani, your kilometers are correct. 10 kilometer, again the same thing, incorrect answer. So guys, now listen to what I'm saying and please focus on the board. When talking about kilometer, very simple. One way 30 kilometers, return journey again 30 kilometers. How many trips in a day? 3 trips in a day. How many days in a month? 20 days in a month. How many lorries? 10. So 60 into 3 into 20 into 10, that is 36,000 kilometers. So this part, most of the students were able to answer. But when talking about 10 kilometer, I got answer from 40%. I mean, the 40% students were able to answer this correctly. Yes, Rajiv Kumar Das, now your answer is correct. Madhuri, correct answer. Shashwat Singh, I'm discussing Arvind, now your answer is correct. Mayank Bhai Agarwal, yes, both the answers are correct. Kunal Patil, you are late, my dear. You need to attend all the lectures as conducted by ICAI. Sumit Kumar, 10 kilometer is incorrect. Pooja PS, again incorrect answers. No worries, Manthanjali, it happens sometimes. Now, when talking about the calculation of 10 kilometer, guys, see, the truck is going for 30 kilometers with how much load? 6 ton load. The onward journey is for 30 kilometers with 6 ton load. But when talking about, as I said, always try to prepare diagram. It is the easiest way to solve the question. So on the return journey, again they are traveling for 30 kilometers with how much load? 0 load. With how much load? 0 load. So multiplied by 0 into 3 trips in a day, into 20 days in a month, into 10. So the correct answer is 1,08,000 ton kilometer. No worries, Madhuri. No worries, Sakshi. So please check, it is 30 kilometers into 0. Maximum students added 180 plus 30 and they solved the question. That approach is incorrect. it is 30 into 0. So at the end of the day, it is 0 in the return journey. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. It's a 6-ton lorry capacity. The capacity of the lorry is 6 tons. So that's why I've written 6-ton lorry. Yes, Pooja Dayaram, your answer is correct. Dikshit Kumar, you are late now. I've already solved the question, but anyways, very good. Happy with your efforts. Your answer is correct. Ritika Verma, correct answer. So guys, I repeat again, when talking about the calculation of passenger kilometer or 10 kilometer, do make a note. Try to prepare this diagram. You will be able to answer each and every question easily and correctly, guys. Very good, Mangeshwaran. Sir, why we should take 0? Since the truck returned empty in the return journey, that's why 0 tons were transported. So 30 into 0. No worries, Ria. No worries, Rashmin Kumar. No worries, Shashwat. So that was the reason I discussed this question. I have put up this question in front of you that it is 30 into 0. If the lorry or the bus is returning empty in the return journey, then you should simply write 0. That's it. Anyone else having any doubts in the passenger kilometer calculation, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. I'm done with the concept of passenger kilometer or 10 kilometer, guys. Yes, well said. Yes, Mantanjali. No worries, Ria Jaiswal. Thank you so much, Rafika. Okay, there is a query from Milton Kumar. Sir, but the truck covered 30 kilometers in return journey. So if we put 0, then not our cost will be affected. See, Milton Kumar, our cost, when talking about fixing up the fare, we do have to calculate this part, because if we do consider 30 kilometers, then we cannot charge the adequate amount from our customer. Because see, if a bus is going, suppose in normal case also, let's say you are traveling from Mumbai to, Pune by a cab. I repeat again, guys, let's say Mr. Milton Kumar, you are traveling from Mumbai to Pune by cab. Now you book a cab in the morning and you say that I want to go to Pune. Now what the cab people will do? They will charge you the fare from Mumbai to Pune plus Pune to Mumbai, even though you are not returning. But yes, this is the rule that what the transportation industry do follow. वो बात अलग है कि वो रिटर्न जर्नी में कोई शेयरिंग पैसेंजर लेके आ जाएगा. But yes, when talking about the fare charge from you, Milton Kumar, he will be charging the full fare. That is for 200 kilometers plus 200 kilometers. He will be charging for 400 kilometers. Yes, practice is the only solution. The practice is the only solution, and practice make you guys perfect. So most of the students were able to answer. So guys, it's 8:40 now. Let's take a break of 10 minutes and then we will start with the full-fledged question. The hard work is all done now. That is the calculation of kilometers or 10 kilometers, where maximum of the students face problem in the calculation. So hard work is all done. Now simply we have to prepare a statement and calculate the total cost divided by the units as calculated, that is passenger kilometer or kilometer. So we'll be discussing this part after the break. So let's take a break of 10 minutes and we'll start thereafter with the practical questions, that is the other practical question. So Edwin sir, are you Welcome back, guys, after a break. So I hope you guys are thorough with the concept of calculation of passenger kilometer and ton kilometer. Let me check if there are any queries. Yes, Pooja, well said. Entire trip cost is borne by the onwards journey only. Yes, Vikas Bansal, again, if we add the kilometer, then yes, there will be. Yes, Vikas Bansal, yes, if we add the kilometer, that will be a loss to the transporter. Thank you so much, Shashwat Singh. That's a great that's a good compliment. Thank you so much, Shashwat. So guys, now let's proceed further and let's start with the full-fledged question, my dear. So now, let's start with the full-fledged question. Now, very simple, guys. We have to prepare a cost sheet. We call it as operating cost sheet or service cost sheet. Wherein we have to divide all the cost in three parts. That is fixed oblique standing cost, that is all the fixed cost. Thereafter, variable oblique running cost, and thereafter maintenance cost. The total will be this will be the total A, total B, and total C, total cost. If any profit is given in the question, it will be added to get the total revenue. Once we are done with the calculation of revenue, we can divide this by total units, either single unit or composite unit as calculated, and as asked by the question, we will be able to get the final answer. So, cost sheet जैसा होता है ना कि इतनी सारी चीजें calculate करनी पड़ती है. No, in this operating cost statement, it's a very easy cost sheet wherein we have to divide all the expenditures in three parts. That is the fixed cost oblique standing cost, variable cost oblique running cost, and maintenance cost. Cost sheet में आपको the general cost sheet what we discussed prime cost, factory cost, work cost, then cost of production, cost of goods sold. Nothing like that in service costing. Very simple. Whatever the cost we have, divided in three parts. Fixed cost oblique standing cost, variable cost oblique running cost, or maintenance cost, the third part. The total of all these three will be the total cost. We will add profit to get the total revenue. So this is the way we have to prepare operating cost sheet. I request you to please, guys, please copy this part. We'll try to, Madhuri. If not, then we'll surely try to address your query in the query session. So now, guys, let's start with full-fledged question. I'm discussing example number 3 of the material what I have provided. The similar question is there in the study material also. So those who want to refer the study material can please refer. Else, one second. Sorry. Else, you can refer the notes what I have provided. So let's start with example number 3. That is ABC Transport Company has given a route of 40 kilometers long to run a bus. The cost of the bus is 10 lakh rupees. It has been insured at the rate of 3% per annum. The annual tax is 20,000. The garage rent is 20,000 per month. Annual repairs is 2,04,000. It will go in the maintenance cost. The bus is likely to last for 2.5 years. So it talks about the depreciation part. Now, very important, the driver's salary is 30,000 per month and the conductor's salary is 25,000 per month. In addition to the fixed salary, they will be paid commission at the rate of 10% of the takings. When talking about takings, they talks about the total revenue. This revenue is to be shared between driver and conductor equally. The cost of the stationery is 1,000 per month. The manager cum accountant salary is 17,000 per month. The petrol and oil, a variable cost, is rupees 500 for per 100 kilometers. The bus will make 3 up and down trip carrying on an average 40 passengers on each trip. The bus will run on an average 25 days in a month. Assuming 15% profit on the takings, calculate the bus fare to be charged from each passenger. So very simple, guys. Let's start with example number 3 of the material what I have provided. So let's start, guys. The bus cost is rupees 10 lakh. So it talks about the depreciation part. Now, we can solve this question on monthly basis or yearly basis. So it's up to you. You can follow any of the approach. So the cost of bus is 10 lakh. I am solving it on yearly basis. So 10 lakh divided by 2.5. So this will be 4 lakh. Very good, Vikas Bansal. So the depreciation is 4 lakh. It is given that it is insured at the rate of 3% per annum. $10 lakh into 3%. That is 30,000. The annual tax is 20,000. Annual tax is 20,000. Garage rent is 20,000 per month, so 2,40,000. Annual repairs is 2,04,000, so it will go in repairs and maintenance cost. Annual repairs will go in repairs and maintenance cost. Now the driver salary is 30,000 per month and the conductor salary is 25,000 per month. Apart from this, they are paid commission also. So I am covering this point in variable. Alternatively, driver salary and conductor salary, it is given. So as far as commission is concerned, you can take it in variable. As far as the fixed salary is concerned, you can take it in fixed. Else you can take the entire total amount in the variable also. So in this question, I am taking this as a fixed part, that is the salary part, and commission I will be taking it in the variable part. So driver salary, ₹3,60,000, and conductor salary, the commission of driver and conductor will be taken in variable cost. That is 3 lakh. Further, the cost of stationery is 1,000 per month. Further, manager cum accountant salary is 17,000 per month. ₹2,04,000. I think fixed costs are all done. So the total of fixed cost, thereafter variable cost or running cost. Very good, Prabhas Jain. Very good, Hitesh Jain. Now, when talking about the variable cost, the petrol and oil is ₹500 per 100 kilometers. So this is variable cost. So petrol and oil. Now this petrol and oil is dependent upon the kilometers traveled. So we have to calculate the kilometers. So calculation of kilometers, wherein the onwards journey is for how many kilometers? 40 kilometers. The return journey is also of 40 kilometers. How many trips are there in a day? There are total 3 trips in a day, into 25 days in a month, into 12 months in a year. So 80 into 3 into 25 into 12, that is 72,000 kilometers. Into ₹500 for every 100 kilometers. So 72,000 into 500 divided by 100. So 3,60,000 rupees. Apart from this, the driver and conductor commission is to be calculated. So driver's commission, that is driver and conductor, right now leave it empty. I'll be discussing this part. Rest all the costs are considered. So the total fixed cost will be how much? 4 lakh plus 30,000 plus 20,000 plus 2 lakh 40,000 plus 3 lakh 60,000 plus 3 lakh plus 12,000 plus 2 lakh 4,000. So 15 lakh 66,000. This driver and conductor commission is still to be calculated, and annual repairs are 2 lakh 4,000. Now, in this we will be first getting the total cost. Thereafter, the profit need to be added in the total cost to get the total revenue. Now, this figure need to be calculated. Now, guys, it is given in the question that driver and conductor are to be paid 10% as commission of the total taking. So, commission is to be paid to driver and conductor. Apart from this, it is given that 15% profit is to be charged on the total takings. So, profit is also need to be charged on the total taking. So, this is how we will get the total revenue. And the balance cost we have already calculated, and that is 15 lakh 66,000 plus 3 lakh 60,000 plus 2 lakh 4,000. That is 21 lakh 30,000. We have already calculated the total cost, or we can say cost excluding commission. Cost excluding and that is 21 lakh 30,000. This is the cost we have as calculated, that is 15 lakh 66,000 plus 360 plus 2 lakh 4,000. Excluding commission, the total cost we have already calculated, that is 21 lakh 30,000. Now it is given that commission is to be paid 10% of the total revenue. Profit is 15% of the total revenue. Assuming total revenue to be 100, so what will be the balance cost? Out of 100, 15 is the profit. It is given that 15% on the total takings, that is the revenue. So out of 100, 15% is the profit, 10% is the commission. So it means what? The balance cost will be equal to 75%. So now we can easily calculate the total cost, that is 21 lakh, total revenue, that is 21 lakh 30,000 is the total revenue. It is the total cost, that is without commission. It is equals to 75%. So how much will be 100%? Very simple. That is 21 lakh 30,000 divided by 75%. So this will be 28 lakh 40,000. This will be the total revenue as calculated. So 28 lakh 40,000 is the total revenue. When talking about profit, it is given that profit is 15% of the total taking. So 15%, that is 4 lakh 26,000 is the total profit. When talking about the total cost, we have to add commission. So 28 lakh 40,000 is the total revenue. Of this, 10% is the total commission to be shared by driver and conductor equally. So 2,84,000 to be shared by driver and conductor equally. So this will be 1,42,000 and 1,42,000. So we will get the total cost that is 24,14,000. If you guys have any doubts in this calculation, you guys can ask me, waiting for your queries. Very good, guys. Very good, Jayanti. Very good, Hitesh Jain. So this is how the total revenue is calculated. When talking about profit, that is 28,40,000 into 15%. This is the total profit. That is 28,40,000 into 10%. We will get the total variable cost, and that will be 3,60,000 plus 6,44,000, and the total maintenance cost is 2,04,000. So the total cost, that is, let's assume it as A, B, and C. So this will be total cost, that is A plus B plus C. Further, we have to calculate the fare per passenger. So we need to calculate passenger kilometer. That is 40 kilometer. 40 kilometers the total bus is traveling, and on an average, the passenger traveling are 40. So 40 into 40, in return also 40 into 40 into 3 trips into 25 into 12. So this will be 28,80,000 passenger kilometers. Now, when talking about the fare to be charged from per passenger, so revenue per passenger kilometer will be 28,40,000 divided by 28,80,000. So this will be 0.98611. So the cost, so the fare revenue per passenger per kilometer is how much? 0.98611. So let's say if a passenger is traveling for 40 kilometers, we can simply say the fare for 40 kilometers will be how much? 0.98611 into 40 kilometers. I repeat again, this 0.98611 is what? Very simple, the fare per passenger per kilometer. So herein, if the trip is of 40 kilometer, then the fare will be how much? 39.44. So this is the complete question, guys. I repeat again, let me check if there are any queries first. How I have calculated 21,30,000? Very simple, my dear. The total fixed cost, that is 15,66,000. The total cost is how much? 15,66,000. plus 3,60,000 the petrol cost, plus the maintenance cost, that is 2,04,000. It means the total cost excluding this commission, because it need to be calculated, that's why. Yes, Vikas Bansal, for one-way trip, the fare will be 39.44. Very good, Vikas Bansal. Very good, Dikshit Kumar. Very good, Mantanjali. Very good, Hitesh Jain, Prabhas Jain. Very good, Mantanjali. Very good, Jyoti Vader. Very good, Madhuri. Yes, Nidhi Parikh, it is advisable to solve at least 5 to 7 attempts question, 5 to 6 years question of the last exams. So if you guys have any doubts, any query, any confusion, any presentation related query, you guys can ask me. This is the way you have to present the solution in exams. So those who want to copy this calculation can please copy. This statement is anyways given in the study material, but that calculation is presented in a different way from the study material. So for your understanding, if you guys want to copy this part, you guys can copy. Both the approaches are correct. If you want to solve it on yearly basis, you can. If you want to solve it on monthly basis, you can. So I'm giving you guys 2 minutes time to please copy this working. Yes, Hitesh Jain, you can. Ashwini Shetty sir, can you please explain once more the passenger kilometer? So see, 40 kilometers they are traveling. How many people? 40 passengers. So 40 kilometer, 40 passengers. So on an average, one way 1600 passenger kilometer. In the return journey also 1600 passenger kilometer. So one round trip, how many passenger kilometer? 3200 passenger kilometer into 3 trips in a day, into 25 days in a month, and into 12 months in a year. Okay, Shweta Jain, sir, I didn't understand the fare part. Can you please explain? So Shweta, 28,40,000 is the total revenue what we are expecting. Our passenger kilometers are 28,80,000. So we will get what? The fare per passenger per kilometer. The fare to be charged from passenger for every kilometer traveled. So if a person is traveling for 40 kilometers, the fare per passenger per kilometer is how much? 0.98611. So if a person is traveling for 40 kilometers, the fare will be how much? 39.44. Let's say if a passenger is traveling for 60 kilometers, so 0.98611 into 60, that is 59.166666. If a person is traveling for the 80 kilometers, that is onwards and return, so 0.98611 into 80, that is 78.8888. Waiting for your queries, guys. Pooja, herein they are saying that you have to calculate the fare per passenger per kilometer. So that's why I have done this calculation. Thank you so much, Siddhappa. I'll be discussing that part in the next session, Jayanti. So guys, we are almost at the end of this session. I wish I could discuss one more question in this session, but since we have extended the concept part, so as far as this session is concerned, I have covered the calculation of passenger per passenger kilometer or ton kilometer. We have started with the practical part of transportation industry. So in the coming session, that is in the next session, we'll discuss few more questions on transportation industry. That is the most important part of the chapter. Apart from this, we'll be discussing few questions on hospital industry, hotel industry, and few more service industries. So as far as the weightage is concerned, this transportation industry is the most important part of the chapter. So that's why we have taken the entire session on transportation industry. Apart from this, we'll be discussing 2-3 more questions on transportation industry in the coming session. And thereafter, we'll proceed with the other industry-based question, that is hotel and hospital. So I request you guys to please practice what I have discussed till now. Try to solve the same questions what I discussed in the class in writing. Further, I request you to try 1 or 2 questions of study material of transportation industry, because as far as the concepts is concerned, it is altogether the same in all the question. That is, the first part is you have to prepare the statement. The second part is while preparing statement, while calculating the variable cost, you will be needing the data for kilometers. So then calculate the kilometers, finish this statement, calculate the total cost, calculate the composite unit, that is passenger kilometer or ton mile, and then finally write the solution. So this is the way you should approach the question. So if you guys have time, try to solve at least 1 or 2 questions of study material. We'll be back in the next session with few more questions on transportation industry and other questions. So that's it for the day, guys. Thanks you guys for very much for the participating in the session. Apart from this, answering the question, I'm very happy that most of the students were able to solve the question well in advance. So that's really great. I mean, I am 1 second, guys. I have been paid for my efforts, that at least I'm happy that most of the students are able to solve the questions. So thank you very much, guys, for that. So then that's it for the day. Let me check if there are any more queries. Thank you so much, Rajiv Kumar. Yogita, have a great day, guys. So guys, enjoy your day. Let's meet day after tomorrow with the remaining part of the chapter. Total 3 sessions are allocated for service costing. So don't worry, this service costing will be covered in detail in the coming 2 more sessions. So thank you so much, guys. That's it for the day. Sir, session concluded. Admin sir, session concluded.